Okay, let's step it up a little bit without getting too technical. The recent definition of financial inclusion by the Action Institute in the Latin Americas and in the USA says that uh, someone is financially included when this person has access to affordable, agile, modern, and safe financial products.
Hello, and welcome to Africa Tech Talks, where we explore the exciting tech landscape of the Portuguese-speaking countries in the African continent. Today, we're thrilled to have Kixicrédito Director for Individuals and Partnerships, Tirso Figueira, on the show. With a Master's in Finance from Salford Business School and a degree in Finance Strategic Leadership in Inclusive Finance from Harvard University, Tirso brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to us, and his profound understanding of the Angolan microcredit market, coupled with his active voice in the Angolan social media space, makes him an invaluable resource for our discussion today. In our conversation, we delved into the microcredit role in the society and challenges, and we also explored his insight on the future of finance in Africa and in Angola, particularly in the context of emerging technologies and the growing demand for financial inclusion. Tirso highlighted the transformative power of microfinance and empowering individuals in businesses, particularly in the unserved communities. We are grateful to Tirso for sharing his insights and expertise with us, and his passion for microfinance and commitment to financial inclusion are truly inspiring. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, and if you like this video, please put a like. Thank you.
Welcome all. Thank you so much, Tirso. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us today. So today we're going to discuss a lot of interesting topics and themes surrounding mainly the microcredit sector in Angola. And you, of course, as one of the key guys working in Angola in that area, I think you will give us interesting insights about what is happening right now in Angola in microcredit. So my first question to you, I'm jumping right to the first question, is the role of microcredit and the challenges that microcredit might have currently in Angola. So could you define what is, first for our listeners, what is microcredit? What is the difference between microcredit and a regular credit that I go to a bank and ask for a loan? And what is its significance in Angola's economic development, the main challenges it faces, and one of the main challenges that some people might pinpoint is the indebtedness, right? So over debt that people might incur, if that's the case, and how the microcredit addresses that and potential solutions. So that's my first question to you, and welcome once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivo. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you guys. I confess that it was overwhelming to have received your invitation for this, and so I couldn't be happier to be here with the team. So greetings to you all and your families. Let's jump right into it. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and Vitor. Well, I don't want to get too technical, actually. What I would say is, first of all, microcredit is a product of the microfinance industry. So, in the microfinance spectrum of products, you get the microcredit, the micro savings, micro insurance, and multiple other micro products, which are actually products designed for people with, I would say, low revenue streams or without an assured access to the traditional financial system. So it all circles back to financial inclusion, which will be determined as Okay, let's step it up a little bit without getting too technical. The recent definition of financial inclusion by the Action Institute in the Latin Americas and in the USA says that someone is financially included when this person has access to affordable, agile, modern, and safe financial products. The microfinance segment grew, and there are many good examples in Latin Americas and in India and Bangladesh. When you get a small tier of the community putting their faith on one institution or on a group of institutions or on a specific methodology, so that those people can have access to the regular formal financial systems. So on the first phase, I would just like to say that microcredit is one product of the microfinance products, spectrum of products. Pardon my English, I've not been practicing enough. Then, as you give,
So
there are many studies that
sorry,
say,
Tirso.
yeah,
Microcredit is not the same as microfinance. What you're saying is microcredit is a subset or of what is the microfinance realm. So
precisely,
there are more things to the microfinance.
precisely.
If you could elaborate a little bit more on that,
Yes,
because
of course, of course. Um, you when you look at the microfinance realm, you get the micro insurance and micro savings and so on and so forth. What would you say to someone that would go into a bank every day and say, I want to save 55 kwanzas today, or I want to save 20 kwanzas today? Probably just the simple fact that this person needs to go into a bank, she or he might spend some money with her means of transportation. Then the bank would charge him or her, or would charge them with some amount for the account maintenance, and then this and that and that and so on and so forth. So it would be not cost efficient to try to make those small amounts of saving on a traditional bank, a traditional financial institution. For that purpose, there are other, I would say, more agile financial institutions, as they are the microfinance institutions, the microcredit institutions. We have an example, which is Gentera in the Bolivia, if not, I'm not mistaken, and they are the largest IPO in the microfinance industry, and they still don't take deposits. They are focused on microloans, so it's what they focused on. There are other financial institutions oriented to financial inclusion that can serve their customers with more than just microcredit. In Angola, particularly, we have regulation for microcredit institutions. We don't have yet the regulation for microfinance institutions, which can actually take deposits. So a microcredit institution can give loans to their customers by lending the shareholders capital. They can raise money through the capital market. They can get loans with other financial institutions so that they can actually fund their activity and give the money to their customers. But they cannot take deposits just yet in Angola. The regulation didn't reach that point just yet.
interesting. I was not aware of
Right.
that. So, do you know if some kind of work is being done in that sense, so it can
Yes,
the legislation?
the legislation is being prepared for the microfinance institutions, but I cannot say for sure, but the new legislation will be very, very interesting because it will somewhat touch a spectrum of institutions. It will, I believe, the regulation will touch this. Okay, microfinance institutions can take deposits up to this, up to that. Then microcredit institutions will do this. Then there are microcredit agents, Kingla, somewhat like that, which will be able to do this and that. So it will be very comprehensive, I believe.
Okay. So
I cannot say for sure the deadline. We are expecting it at any moment now, probably beginning of first semester of 2024. But let's just expect a good thing.
let's wait and see. So
Yeah.
definitely financial inclusion is not that idea that sometimes the idea in the last years, some people say that financial inclusion is we have people that are out of the banking system, right? They don't have bank accounts, so financial inclusion would equate to giving bank accounts to those people. But what you're saying is that financial inclusion is not just having a bank account or something like that. You have to it must be affordable, must be of easy of access and agile, and must have meaningful products in modern for them, right? So the person that has 50 kwanzas and safe. So okay,
let me
interesting.
break down this to you. Let me break down this to you. You would say that someone is financially included when you give them. Let's go to the ancient history. You would give them, okay, you have a bank account, you're financially included. Okay, that's not enough. At some point, this person needs to have access to their bank account, and if that bank is not enough, doesn't have enough capillarity, you are actually crippling the person because she or he cannot access their funds or their money and all the financial solutions that you provide. So you give them means of payment. You give them a debit card or something like that. Okay, next stage. Then you give them remote access. You give them internet banking or something. Okay, perfect. Did you include financially that person? What I'm trying to say is the most recent definition by the Action Institute, these are not my words. For you to consider someone really financially included, you need to take that person out of the underserved layer, which is someone that doesn't have access to formal means of payment or savings or credit, unserved. Then you need to take that person to the underserved. You have persons that are unserved. They never use financial institutions because they don't reach it. The financial institutions don't reach them. And then you have persons that are underserved. They have access to financial institutions, just like you and me, but they are underserved. I can give you a lot of examples. If you take someone and then you give them a bank account and you tell them, okay, you can make your savings here, it's a Banquita account or something like that. And then the person cannot have a debit card so that they can make their payments. Whenever they go to the bank, you tell them, okay, if you need a debit card, I will charge you 5,000 kwanzas. But it's a small account. I wouldn't say a small account. It's a financial inclusion oriented product. But whenever they go, I need a debit card to make my payments, so I become more cashless. You tell them, okay, the bank will charge you 5,000 kwanzas. That's not financial inclusion because you didn't stress the product enough to make that affordable. Okay, we'll go to the next tier. The person goes to the bank and says, okay, I made my savings, but I want to take the money out. Okay, you need a checkbook. Why would I need a checkbook? I'm here in person. If you're here in person, we will give you a banking check and you pay 1,800 kwanzas. But I'm here. It's me. Just give me my money. No, I will write you a check, a banking check, or a normal check, and for you to withdraw from your own account. That's not financial inclusion. That's something else. Okay, let's go to the next tier. You give them the internet banking app, but they cannot use it, and then they go to the bank to activate it, to deactivate it, to activate another once again, and then you think that person is financially included. You didn't. Sometimes I tell my colleagues, if something is going to work, it needs to be as simple as PayPal. You click, you put your fingerprint, you put the address you want to transfer, and it's done. If you get it a bit more complex than that, and obviously every market is a market, has its own specificities. Okay, last tier of this, which is the safety. Um, the the recent definition of financial inclusion demands that if someone is financially included and something happens in their interaction with the financial institution, they are protected. So, if you have a market in modernization like ours, we have escrow accounts, we have complex financial products in some banks. If you have someone that has access to these institutions, but then whenever something goes wrong, the system cannot protect the user. The system cannot protect the customer. That person is not financially included. That person is underserved. If you yourself, if you go to a bank and you say, okay, I need to make a transfer of, I don't know, 25 million kwanzas to buy a car, and then okay, you go away, you expect the transfer to be done. The next day you call the bank and you say, oh, the transfer is not done, and they will say, okay, but we are at the end of the month, so we will not do your transfer right away. We will do it next month because of our, I don't know, commercial objectives or something like that. And then you complain to the regulator, and the regulator says, okay, that's interesting. Maybe we will fine the institution, we will punish the institution, but there's no benefit of whatsoever to the customer, who was actually the one that was harmed in first place. So you are not protected, you are underserved. To talk about financial inclusion here in Angola takes a lot a lot of layers. It's a bit more complex than just, okay, people have bank accounts, they
Yeah.
need to have agile access, they need to have affordable products, inclusion oriented products, and they need to be protected from malpractice that can come from whatever institution it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Tirso,
definitely complex.
in your role as a head of partnerships in a microcredit institution, how do you fulfill those purposes, and what specific project have you already been done that has been impactful here in Angola, and how do you see that evolving over the next years in Angola and also in Africa, to your knowledge?
Thank you, Victor. That's very interesting question. Um, um, in the last years, we have been able, Kixicrédito has been able to participate in I would say a handful of structuring projects. One of them is the line with FAC, with Fundo Ativo de Capital de Risco. This is public information. So part of managing the partnerships is trying to align internal and external factors whenever an opportunity arises, or whenever we need to make an opportunity out of the particular situation we're on. One of the most intense projects I was involved in was precisely this line with FACRA, because it was being conducted threefold between the economy ministry, the Ministry of Economy. Sorry, you can cut that part. to correct, the Ministry of Economy at the microcredit institutions in Angola and the Microcredit Institutions Association. So it was a bit complex of a project. I can tell you, for instance, that the strategic level wanted the microcredit institutions to focus on segments of the economic tissue that were, I would say, a little bit more complex or non-standard to focus, like the rural fishing,
Okay.
yeah, pesca artesanal,
Yeah.
or the graphic designer activity. They wanted us to fund someone whose main asset is their know-how and their laptop. So it was a bit non-standard, and we needed to acquire knowledge before we would say, okay, yes, we are going to enter those endeavors. Yeah. Alternatively, we have managed to engage with multiple institutions. I cannot just say it right now because of non-disclosure agreements, but we have managed to engage with several institutions, the partnerships part actually, to somewhat take a de-risking approach at specific tiers of our customers, of our customer base. And we have been able to engage with companies who wanted us to design, to draw, to implement some non-standard, some tailor-made financial products for their employees. For instance, in the payroll, we have been interacting with companies. We have been making agreement with companies that, let's say you have a company and you pay your employees their salary, and at some point they say, okay, boss, I need a vale. I don't know, I'd say vale in English. I need a cash advance. Yeah, and they go to the treasury, and they go to the treasury, and the treasurer, okay, have 100K, 100,000 kwanza. That is actually stressing your company's treasury. It's stressing your company's liquidity. You can talk to us, for instance, and we will analyze how we can get it in the middle of the process, where we fund your employees, and you tell us more. You tell us more. You tell us, okay, I would like them to be funded from day 15 to day 30, not before, because I want them to have these options and these options, and I would like them to be funded, okay, just half a salary or 4 salaries or 10 salaries or whatever. And then we can work on it to somewhat grow some level of responsible lending framework in this context. Yeah. So
the challenge has been more this specific niche focusing, and how do you see that?
For the partnerships, part of my work, the most complex part is engaging with technological institutions, I would say, because we get very good ideas, we share what we want to do, but no one wants to take 1% of risk in lending, particularly in Angola. You can tell them, okay, we will cover 80% of the exposure, and you cover 20%. Since your algorithm is so good, your scoring technique is the top notch, you will take 20% of risk. Are you willing to? And normally partners are not as keen to go there. So it's something from the market itself. We need to reduce this untrust environment.
Okay.
You're talking about the algorithms and how the new tech can change this landscape. What is, in your opinion, the technology that will reshape, or that has been reshaped around the world, not only in Angola but around the world? You talked about the South African experience, the experience in India. What is, from what you know, in the tech sector, going to change this this microcredit area?
Well, I believe it's an ecosystem issue. If you have an ecosystem where people believe that they can get at an instant advantage, and then it's the last advantage they're gonna get, it will never work. I believe it's an ecosystem issue. If you can make people believe that there is some sort of continuity plan, you get this today, then you get this tomorrow, then you get this the day after. They will be more responsible with their credit behavior, with their financial behavior. Yeah, precisely, with their debts. I believe it's an ecosystem. If all financial institutions working in Angola decide to take a credit responsible approach, firstly. Second, if if at policy making level we decide that we need to take a very serious approach regarding credit, like, okay, if someone is not paying the credit, and you take them to court, how long do you believe it's going to take until you get their whatever the guarantee that is associated with the loan? So you don't protect the lending institutions.
Yes.
How do you expect to proliferate these endeavors of giving loans to people at an affordable price? In terms of tech, I would say that for Angola, it's not as linear as I would say. Okay, I don't believe it's something like, okay, if we introduce this technology, it will escalate.
Okay.
Yeah, the market. I don't believe it's as simple as that, because we have a very young population, and you would need to serve it with lots of cash. So I don't know. Let me try to answer that question in the following way. First, you would need to have digital IDs. First step of the layer. Nowadays, you already have one app, which is PayPay. I'm sorry for the publicity, where you register yourself, and then it connects with the tax authority database, and it validates your name and your ID number.
Yes.
This app also connects with the few banks. The wallet connects with a few banks, and you can make transfers from the wallet to the banks. In 4 hours, the money is wherever you want.
Yes.
So it's becoming a little bit more interesting from the side that you already have a valid ID on the app. So some level of due diligence is already into the process. If more wallets, and I'm not talking just about wallets, more institutional apps were to bypass some level of CDD intensity by connecting to the tax authority database, it would be interesting, and it would become a little bit safer for institutions and for users. So the institutions that want to do the funding will walk right into the process. They would say, okay, you already have a database. You have already made the customer due diligence. I just want to fund. So tell me which customers have this transactional volume, transactional intensity, and I will fund them pre-approved loans. It would be very interesting to have players oriented at that level. Then financial institutions such as Kixicrédito to just say, okay, you have the customer database, you have the information of the transactional value, and we will just fund them. You tell us who fits in these categories, and we will hand them the money. We're actually working on something like this with someone. I won't say who, but I won't say who.
No, it's interesting because from what I understand, one of the main focal points in this system or this ecosystem that you mentioned is the tax authority and their ability and their but also this doesn't come easy because they did a great job in the past 5 years to build a network that is really getting data from everywhere, from the banks, from the institutions, from their own. So this is going to be probably a game changer also in Angola. But you also mentioned the regulation that is so important. And it's funny because you started talking about regulation when we asked about technology. So they will go hand in hand for the future.
Yes.
They will need to go hand in hand because the main and yes, you touched the main for me, and I think that for everyone here, and we discussed this, is the main issue with microcredit is connected with how will the judicial institutions and the courts act if nothing happens, if you don't pay and if you don't repay. So there's a long way to work on that.
I wouldn't say it's the main issue. I wouldn't say it's far from it. Far from it.
Okay.
I would say from our experience, the highest incentive, the biggest incentive for someone paying a micro loan is to get the next loan. So our customers pay us because they know that when they come to us again, we will give them the money. That's all. It's not some magic program devised by someone. It's not something, okay, they are giving money. Let's go fast. Get the money and then run away. No, they know that we will be here forever. We've been giving loans since 1996. Whenever the customer pays, he comes to us and we tell them, okay, how much you need? This. Okay. Well, you just had 4 loans, so because of our internal policy, we are required to give you a holiday. Okay, have your holiday, then come back. Okay, come back, here is your money. Okay, you have graduated to a certain level, so you need to go to the bank. That's our internal policy. So you go to the bank, you get a higher loan, you grow. Then you start empowering other small entrepreneurs and they will become our clients. So I would say the incentive for paying is the next loan. We need to stop to make these temporary programs. Magic program X, Angola something, Angola magic something. We need to stop that. We need to be consistent so that people can understand, okay, if I behave good on I don't know, on Zango Zero, one day I will have another spot at Quilamba. If I behave good at Quilamba, one day I will have another spot at I don't know, Zango to Mil, you name it. So, but you were talking about the discouraging force or the mitigation solutions. Whenever someone doesn't want to pay, they will feel, okay, judicial execution is very harsh, so I will pay. In the microcredit, is not that linear, because whenever the customer doesn't pay, 9 out of 10 times they cannot pay. They actually can't. They even come to. We have customers that come to us. They tell us, okay, I want to pay. I'm here, but I had some situation, some health situation in my home. I had some situation in my family that lives somewhere in province X or Y, and I had to send them the money. And then we tell them, okay, we'll give you a grace. But I'm so sad because I failed you. No, no, no. We give you a grace. We give you 15 days more. Is it enough? I need 30 days. Okay, we give you 30 days. Do you want to dilute the loan to extend it a little bit? No, I'll manage. So in the microcredit, it's not as linear as someone that gets, I don't know, 2 billion kwanzas loan. It's not that, it's not as similar as the traditional banking. There's a paradox in microfinance where they say the only financial service provider that knows their customer's wife's name, their customer's children's name, their customer's dog's name, the cat's name, is the microcredit officer and the private banker. It's the only one. So it's a paradox.
Whoa,
Mhm.
amazing. So interesting insight. So you see, everything is about incentives, right? So what you're saying is that the incentive to pay back a loan in microcredit for microcredit client consumer might be a little bit different from a traditional commercial bank loan for a person that asks for a loan for home repair or buy a car or something like that. So the because in the microcredit you say is they're expecting the next loan, so they know they cannot fail the repayment, and you guys actually are very flexible in terms of extending the grace period and finding solutions for them so they can repay the credit and get the next installment. um, that's very interesting. So let me take a U-turn. We're talking about technological advancements. We already talked about the impact of partnerships. Let's talk a bit more about social media and social media influence. Um, you've been well. First of all, Angola has a massive young population. Okay, according to some stats, there are at least 5 million, almost 6 million users on Facebook, according to some sources. I'm just citing one of them, Napoleon Cat. So as of last November 2023, the number of Facebook users in Angola was 5,778,000 Facebook users, which accounts for almost 15% of its entire population. Okay. Then we'll have Instagram with not, it doesn't reach 1 million users. Then we have LinkedIn, then we have X and other platforms. Okay. But Facebook is king, right? Yourself, you are a very active person on social media. I was the first time I was in touch with you, and your content was actually on X. At that time, was not called X; it was called Twitter.
Twitter.
Twitter, right? And the way you were using the platform was very interesting because Twitter or X now as this possibility of making spaces, so you can make a live space, invite a lot of people, and you can talk about several topics and subjects, and you were a key driver on that. I was paying attention. So at least for the last couple of years you have been very active. In the last months, not so active in terms of spaces, at least. But social media is a very interesting platform to disseminate information. And at the other end, it could also be a very efficient platform or tool to disseminate disinformation. How do you see the role of social media in spreading, or the financial institutions or the governmental entities on using social media to spread actually financial information for the population? Do you think social media right now in Angola is being utilized or underutilized in that sense?
Well, it's a complex question. I believe that what will happen is what has been happening for the past 10 decades. People will, what will determine, uh, what gets attention will eventually, ultimately be the consumers. And the consumers will probably remain inclined to underdog success stories. Pardon the expression. The people will remain inclined to consuming things that they are probably programmed to consume, like the como é que se diz novela das seis, like
The soap opera, the 16 soap opera.
precisely that they will consume these I don't know, these novels, this
The soap operas
fairy tale
that everyone wants to hear about, with the big
precisely.
breakfasts.
Precisely, they will love to hear or to watch the content that says that the the guy that was washing the car eventually became the
The billionaire.
CEO, precisely, and so on and so forth. I am pro those stories. Actually, I love whenever someone that is coming from a very humble background triumphs, whenever it's with merit. I'm pro meritocracy, let me just say. But what will determine whatever gets rich will be the mindset of the consumers. The consumers will like and retweet whatever they want to hear. If the consumers want to hear how to transform 100 kwanzas into 1 billion kwanzas, that content will get more reach because people will repost and repost and repost because that's what people want to consume. I believe that I have the responsibility to make a difference, not in the sense of doing the opposite content, but to have some level of critique and to try to discern what is real, what is feasible, what is science, what is just a bunch of beliefs, and what is someone trying to fool people with some faith.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Tirso, reflecting on your career, what has been one of your, say, richest or more impactful initiatives, and what did you learn from it that could also inspire other young professionals in this financial sector?
Okay. Well, that's a little bit complicated to answer. Let me see. I used to work in a bank, private bank, and then I came to Kixicrédito as head of partnerships, individuals and partnerships of business segment.
Yeah.
And for me, it was somewhat a shock, not in the bad sense, but a shock of reality, a shock of many beliefs. Because you see, at a bank, I used to work with affluent clients, so clients that have some specific way of treatment that are used to some level of treatment. In the microfinance sector, sometimes you go to visit a customer, and the customer will greet you like this, daddy or godfather, or the expressions.
Yeah.
Meu padrinho, meu papá, like my daddy. And the customer would try to hug you. I don't know. You know, the clients from the Microcredit Institute segment, they are very specific. They would you would go to visit a client, and the client would boil bananas and bring you with the peanuts, so that you both would share the meal. And um, once again, the paradox: unless you are private banker, with luck, you would never get that experience. When you go to a client 5 years later, and the client sits with you, and the client tells you, do you see that boy? It was through my business, which you funded, that I was able to pay for his college or something like that. It's very impactful. My hardest task probably was to expand our network of credit centers or agencies, if you prefer. Uh, I've been to Wish, Lubito, Quito, Namib. We had to open a second credit center. Then Ongiva, Menongue, Luena. The East is very has its particularities. That's why I smile. The East is the East. So
Such as?
Luena, you'd have to be there. The East is very specific. We would stay. I used to I worked there in Luena, in Mochico, and in Saurim, even at Dund. We were at Saurimu, and um, to get petrol, no, not petrol. Petrol was day in and day out, but to get um, petrol é gasóleo? Desculpa,
Gas,
a cortar entre
gas,
Diesel. You'd say diesel.
diesel.
Gas
Yeah,
would
sorry,
be,
diesel.
yeah.
Yeah,
gasoline,
to get
diesel. Yeah.
to get gasoline, you would get day in and day out, every other day. But
Mhm.
diesel, you would have diesel on Monday, and then on Friday, or Wednesday, and then Sunday, among other particularities from those markets. But it was interesting, and it was probably my hardest task from this career, not in opening the agencies as they are, but in trying to recruit the right uh, uh,
Well,
persons for the task, because it's not just getting someone that will be, I don't know, reliable and compliant with the internal practices. You need to get someone that will not antagonize your clients. You need to get someone that you can trust your clients with, because you will get clients that are um, from their own reality. So you need to make sure that the person that will serve your clients will be able to accommodate those clients, to receive those clients with dignity. Because sometimes in financial institutions, we feel like we are doing some favor to the client, when it's actually the opposite. We survive because we have clients, so it's in our best interest to have clients. So try to recruit and to train this network of people that are today part of Kixicrédito, and I have the utmost respect for them, and while making sure that they would treat our clients with the most with the highest regard, was probably the hardest task of in my entire career. If you are talking about advices for young people, I'm not sure what I would say.
Eventually, trying to find the right cultural fit, the right
Well, if I
corporate.
was talking to the Angolan youth, if I would talk to the Angolan youth, to the people that are beginning their careers in the financial sector, I would tell them to be a little bit patient, because nowadays in the financial sector, you see people handling high amounts of money. They handle a lot of money, which is not theirs. that can sometimes pose some level of pressure into them, and I honestly recommend for them to be a little bit patient and try to pursue their careers with integrity. That would be the first advice. The second is an advice I received from a marketing professor when I was in college. I was doing second year of college, and we had this lecture, and this professor said, as you begin your careers, you will meet people that will tell you, why are you working so hard? This is not your father's. It's not your father's company. Why are you putting so much work? Someone else is getting the money from your work. Why are you dedicating so much? You're not gonna become the CEO or the owner of the company. You will face these people. You will meet them. Please don't listen to them. It's the advice I give you. Tirso, I've had multiple persons telling me that. Telling me, why are you putting so much effort? Why are you doing all of this? Why are you working past 5? Why are you arriving so early? Why why are you meeting the objectives? If you meet the objectives, okay, but if you exceed the objectives, then it will put pressure on everybody. Why? So to ignore these people is the best thing you can do for your career, even if these people are in your family. Because if you are trying to make a difference, you need to fight as hard as you can with the ordinary. That's my advice for the youth. Forget the ordinary. If you work somewhere, forget that that's someone else's company. You need to have your own thing or you will be poor forever. You can think about um, get building your own thing when you gather some experience, when you gather some know-how. But whenever you're doing something, do it with all your heart. That would be my advice.
Fantastic, fantastic.
I was listening to you and I was remembering Lex Friedman. Treat everyone with kindness and with love. But it's funny.
Yeah.
Look. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying I'm talking about someone I respect and admire, and above all, I love him. So I say that was an extraordinary advice. Tirso, again, a new turn. We are facing these days, and yesterday I was just looking at ChatGPT going 4.5. You have Gemini from Google, so everyone is in the AI space these days. So it's becoming cheaper and cheaper to access. In my opinion, this will transform Africa because it will give the tools to speed up some processes that have been stalled for a few years or a lot of years. What is your future outlook for the microcredit, and what are the trends and the tendencies for this area?
Well, if you have a social infrastructure such as China or what India is becoming right now, you won't need to add a lot of layers of complexity into microcredit because you will eventually have technological solutions that can reach to almost all of the population. Let's say you have WeChat from China, you have digital identity, you have savings, you have loans. So microcredit institutions can go in the middle of the process, but you have somewhat of a catalyst agent in
Catalyzer,
the
yeah.
catalyzer, sorry, agent in the big tech institutions, say M-Pesa as an example or so. But then you have other examples in the Latin America or some countries of Asia and sub-Saharan Africa, where you would need two vectors. The first one would be using AI to understand what is the consumption, what are the consumption habits of your customer base, of your population. In order to do the best direct funding, directed saving, you need to understand how people use their money. So if we could use AI to somewhat at national level and even at regional levels understand how people spend their money once they have 1,000 kwanzas, what they do with it, what's their priority. They earn 100K. Why don't they buy a fridge first and a motorcycle later? Because the fridge will contribute to the storage of foods and their health ultimately, but the motorcycle is transportation. So why they prioritize this over that? So you would need to first study all of this, then try to understand at what extent can you go into the middle of the process and tell them, okay, prioritize health and then go to means of transportation. And then you tell them, okay, the government is looking into bringing you water, so you don't need to look at that anymore. You try to look at preserving food or insurance for your children or this and that. So AI would help first at trying to build this database, trying to understand the dynamics of how people spend their money. So when you fund them, you can understand how much that funding will improve their lives and reduce the poverty shocks that they are susceptible to. First vector. The second vector would be the scoring, the famous scoring, whereas you would need massive amounts of data and correlation analysis to be undertaken in order for you to be sure that that you are taking the lowest risk or the moderate risk that you can absorb, but you would need a scoring solution, which is ultimately some way of the technological solution to say, okay, we have observed all of your 350,000 loans throughout the years, and we have understood the pattern that customers that do this and are of this age from this area and subscribe in this moment of their lives are more keen to pay. So these are A customers, and those are B, and those are C, and those are D. So you can give cheaper loans to the A's because the computer is telling you that they will most likely definitely pay, and you can give a little bit not as cheap but cheaper loans to the B customers because the computer is okay, they will most definitely pay, and then you give to the C, okay, he can pay, and the D you will not give the loans to them, but you will reject because the computer is telling okay, they will most likely not pay. So AI can go into those two streams, and I believe it will be very interesting because most of the scoring methods that are being employed, even in big financial institutions, but for small loans, are solutions that are not updated on a daily basis. I don't know. Some are updated
monthly,
in a quarter or monthly. Yeah, and it's important to incorporate not only who has paid, who didn't pay, but it's important to incorporate
the
this
entire
person, everything. This person, I gave a loan to them 2 years ago. He didn't have any children. He was a great customer. Now he has 3 children, twins. Okay, he didn't. It's important to incorporate all of the information and as dynamic as possible. And I believe that AI can go right into that process and be able to tell us, okay, this individual is about to default. This individual can benefit from an increase in terms of amount, or it's probably interesting to dilute and extend the maturity of that individual's loan.
because then you will have the history of many people, and you have the success cases, and you'll have the how can you, for that specific situation, how can you facilitate and agilize and make it safe, as you were saying in the beginning. And I really like that. How can you make it safe to have the loan for both sides? Because in the end, it's a partnership when you're giving a loan in microcredit.
Precisely.
Very well, thank you.
Well, Tirso, what a wonderful time. I think we could be here a couple of hours more, 3 hours more, 4 hours more. This topic and this subject is so interesting. Your insights about all of these topics are top notch, I must tell you. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I believe our listeners will have as much fun as we did during this episode. We talked about the challenges of microcredit here, specifically in Angola. You addressed some of the interesting projects that you guys are doing on the field, relevant projects with real people. We also addressed the technological advancements and how technology could help the sector. We also addressed the social media and how social media could be used potentially for educating the audience on these matters. You also pinpointed how social media could also be harmful, right? So it's a two-edged knife. Uh, you give some. I really liked, the your personal advice to young people. So integrity. No, no, no. I think it was so important
Yeah,
because
true.
while there will always be people around you that say, "Don't do so much. If you do too much, if you're too good, that would put a bad light on me. That would put a bad light on us." So it's the people that push you back, and sometimes it's not easy to say no to that because some of those people are your best friends, are your family. Um, and I mean, I really connected and I really related with that. I think it's especially good advice for young people, not only young people, but particularly young people, and especially working on the financial sector, as you said. The managing some of the people managing so much amounts of money and the power to when you're young, you want the results,
Yeah, I know.
already the next day.
I know.
you know,
I
so
We all
it's
know.
know.
hard. So act with integrity, and things will eventually come to you. Everything has a time. Tirsu, let me thank you on behalf of all of our team. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully, we'll get you back on the pod soon to talk about many other things. Um, you were wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ivo. See you soon.
Okay.
It was my
Thank you.
pleasure and my honor.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Tirso.
Vitor. Thank you, Andrea. It was my honor, and I expect to be back soon.
Thank
Okay.
you.
By the way, you have in the back you have a palanca, which is the national
Ah.
animal.
Yes, it
It's not by chance.
I don't know. It's I know that I was inclined to do the podcast in person with you guys, so you would offer me a coffee. It's obviously important for me. But when
Next
The
when
time,
you
coffee
next time
said
we'll do
is
that.
arranged.
okay, I hope. But when you said it wasn't quite possible at this point. Then I had to do it in the office, and I have two
Palancas,
two of this no two of this I don't know como é que se diz quadros.
paintings.
Paintings.
Okay.
Paintings. One is this, and the other one is two teacups. But I figured, okay, let's just keep this one. And but yeah, it's a picture I actually like to see, and
Thank you.
it's a painting. Okay,
Thank you.
my colleagues also comment sometimes, but
Thank you. It's funny. It's interesting that you brought it. It's interesting that you brought it. Thank you so much.
thank
And
you.
you're invited for dinner
Okay.
So
Thank you.
instead of just having coffee, we'll have dinner, and we'll have to gather all the people from the talks that so much contribute for us.
Oh, okay. Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
Thank you once again.
Cheers.
See you soon. Thank you so much.
You stay well.
Okay.
See you soon.
Yeah.